What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of Bayou Bengal Bites. It's Baton Rouge Regional Week. Tyler, you excited?
Yeah, I'm very excited. Good to have postseason baseball back at the box. Last time we had it was the 2019 Super Regional, and that did not go so well for us LSU Tigers. So hopefully this time it goes really solid, and hoping that the Tigers can get out of here for Baton Rouge Regional and look forward to a Super.
Yeah, we've been traveling the past couple of years, and with the regional starting up, of course, we're going to have a very baseball heavy show. I think all of our topics are baseball, so let's get right into it. So, starting Friday, June 2nd at 2 o'clock, precisely, exactly to the dot, we've got the LSU Tigers taking on the Tulane Green Waves, the Greenies, as we like to refer to them. Tulane ended up winning the American Conference, is why they got an automatic bid to postseason, coming in at a 4 seed, a whopping 19-40. Tyler, does this record make you think this is just an easy win, or I mean, Tulane's gotten hot recently to get into the postseason?
Yeah, I don't think it's really necessarily going to be an easy win. This is definitely a different Tulane team than we saw in early April when these two teams got it together. And this is the second all-time meeting in the season. LSU won 11-5. And if you're wondering who pitched that game, it was none other than Christian Little, our fan favorite. Everybody
Yeah.
likes Christian Little, but you probably won't see him on the mound unless LSU is near either run ruling the Tulane Green Wave or it really gets out of hand. But I think that Tulane record of 19-40, that is just a terrific story. That is by far the worst record that I've seen any team make it to the NCAA tournament. Like you mentioned, they faced some formidable teams in the American Athletic Conference Championship. They beat Eastern Carolina. ECU is the number 2 seed in the Virginia Regional, so they're always a good team. And then Houston as well, a former Tiger, Drew Bianco. Drew Bianco's college career came to an end at the hands of the Greenies. So that's definitely a story in itself. But yeah, I think that this Tulane team is definitely riding on momentum. Their record is pretty much thrown out the window. Everybody is 0-0 heading into tomorrow or today, whenever this episode goes out. So Tulane's going to throw their ace. This is not going to be a midweek. So interested to see how the bats of LSU does against Tulane's ace. And the numbers aren't really staggering for Tulane's ace. It's a 5 ERA. This Tulane staff and the pitching staff is very awful.
Yeah, they boast
Sam
a
Houston
7
State.
ERA on the season.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think that all 4 of these teams are very similar in the pitching staff. So it's definitely going to be a fun regional to watch.
yeah, I mean, you look at Tulane, they're a 4 seed. You look at their record, 19-40. But I mean, they got hot and they won their conference tournament. So that's one thing that kind of worries me. I don't want to write it off as an automatic win. It should be a win. I'm looking at the RPIs. Take that as you will. LSU's looking at 5. Tulane's looking at 157. So
Golly.
that should paint the story right there. It's a game you expect to win, and if you lose, it's just kind of embarrassing, to be honest with you. But I mean, it's postseason baseball; anything can happen. I want to get your opinion. Jay Johnson said he's not talking starting pitchers or injuries at all this postseason. I think it's going to be Thatcher Hurd that we roll out tomorrow. Who do you think it's going to be?
I think he really set it up for himself. We saw the SEC tournament. Thatcher Hurd get the start in game number 1 against South Carolina. He did really well. And then you saw him go back to their normal rotation. You saw Paul Skeens against Arkansas. You saw Ty Floyd against Texas A&M. So I think that he was setting himself up for this regional. You can play in either 3 games at the very minimum, or you can be playing 5 games, depending on if you get into the losers bracket. So I agree with you. I think it's going to be Thatcher Hurd. We saw Thatcher Hurd dominate against the South Carolina offense. That's one of the best in the country. So I think that Thatcher Hurd, you've seen him in the past couple of outings, whether it's in the bullpen or getting the start, he is starting to turn the corner, and that has been the key. Jay Johnson said it from the start. Thatcher Hurd was going to be the key for the LSU team to make it back to Omaha. So I think that you're going to see Thatcher Hurd game number 1 against Tulane, and I think that he's going to shove.
I hope he does. We need a good performance from him, like they got against South Carolina in the SEC tournament. So, folks, Friday, 2 o'clock Central Time, you'll see the Tigers take on Tulane Green Wave. Let's get to the other teams at the regional. Know your opponent, Sam Houston State and Oregon State, 2 teams that LSU fans should be familiar with. We played Sam Houston State earlier this season, like you mentioned earlier, Tyler. And Oregon State, man, it's like a dance of destiny with these two teams. We go. I feel like the past 10 years we've probably seen them 5. I mean, we were in Coral Gables. I think that's how you say their home stadium
Morales.
name. Yeah, that place. I don't even want to mention it. We've been there a few times. We've seen them a few times. So I'm looking at RPI, like I mentioned, Tulane's 157. You got Oregon State as a 37. Sam Houston State as a 70. So pretty good. Sam Houston actually has a higher batting average than LSU overall with a 320, which LSU past couple games have been a little lower. They're at 311, and Oregon State's 290, which statistically, or I guess historically, Oregon State's one of the better batting teams. But since like I'll steal an analogy I heard on the radio. Oregon State is the band and the brand, but it's got different band players. So you show up to the concert and you're like, who the heck are these guys? They've got the history, they've got the brand recognition, but it's a completely different team. I mean, they're still a number 2 seed, but it's not your typical powerhouse Oregon State that you've seen in the past. Um, Home runs, they're actually lowest out of all 4 teams. They're at 79 this year. They're tied with Sam Houston, each of them 79, Tulane 81, and LSU is 117. So a big difference in those 4 teams. Some other things, runs per game, you got 9.3, Sam Houston 8.6, Oregon State 8.1, Tulane at 6. So that's if LSU's offense gets going Friday, I think it ought to be a pretty easy victory. And then your ERA, LSU's actually got the lowest ERA at a 4.64, but that's primarily due to Paul Skeens' 1.89 ERA. And then you also have Garrett Edwards and Chase Shores who still count for the team ERA, even though they're not pitching, and they were also very low. And then you got Oregon State with a 4.65. Sam Houston has a 5.26. So Tyler, Sam Houston State and Oregon State are going to be taking on each other at the 8 o'clock game Friday night. What's your prediction for that one?
Yeah, I think that it's going to be an offensive showdown. Oregon State, we had some news earlier in the week that they're going to be down 2 of their top pitchers, including their ace and their Saturday night guy. So that's not a good thing going up against Sam Houston State, a ball club that just put up 20 runs against Utah Valley in the WAC championship game. I think that, like Tulane, the last time that LSU played Sam Houston State, it was a blowout 16-4. I think that this is going to be a different Sam Houston State team. So if I had to pick, I was feeling confident in the week about Oregon State, but them being down their ace and they're now have to face their Sunday guy, and who knows, their bullpen has
you
been
don't got
suspect
anything after that.
Well, I feel like everyone's bullpen in this regional is very suspect, and this is a hitter's park, Alex Box Stadium, playing in June. It's going to be 90 degrees on all the days that this game is going to be playing. The wind's probably going to be blowing out. As long as we don't get any rain, then it's definitely going to be a hitter-friendly ballpark. So I could see this game between the Bearcats and the Beavers as well. It's a tough road trip for Oregon State, like you mentioned. LSU's had to do it 2 times. One time
it's not
in
a fun
Eugene.
trip either. We don't usually come out of there with a victory.
Well, at least you don't have to, stay in any dorm rooms. LSU
Yeah,
actually
like
has some
Kentucky.
hotels available, unlike Kentucky. But we'll get to that if Kentucky, is our opponent. But I think if I had to pick, I'll go Sam Houston State over Oregon State. I think that Sam Houston State, the brand of baseball that they're playing is just going to be too much for Oregon State. Oregon State hasn't really impressed me, like you said. This Oregon State, they have the brand, but this isn't the team that LSU faced, 2017, 2018 with, Adley Rutschman,
Yep.
all those studs
and
and
all
all
the
those
MLB after that year, wasn't he? I mean, they had some dogs on the team.
Yeah, they had some dogs on that team, and LSU fans were saying like, "Oh, this is going to be a walk in the park. We beat one of the best teams, and then you lose to Florida as well." So I'm going to go with Sam Houston State beating Oregon State. I think it's going to be an offensive slugfest. I'll go 10-6. Sam Houston State gets the win.
Okay, I wanted to go different from you, but with the to give some parity to our listeners, but with the recent loss of his ace and the second guy for
That's not
Oregon
good.
State, no, I mean pitching is what makes it makes your postseason. I mean
Yeah.
all these guys can hit. I mean obviously we've seen the offensive firepower from LSU, but you've seen the losses come because of the pitching performance in the bullpen. So not having your 2 top guys all of a sudden, it's not like they lost them earlier in the year and they've been dealing with it. I mean, it happened last week. So I think that's really going to hurt their chances. And I'm going Sam Houston State too. And Paul Skeens is just, I mean, he's going to do Paul Skeens when
Waiting in the
LSU
wings.
plays them. Exactly. So let's get to who we're going to watch this weekend. LSU players to watch. I've got two. Tyler's got two, and we got some pitchers. Tyler, I'll let you start off with your first guy.
Yeah, we're going to start on the offensive side of the ball. I think that these are two of the players that's got to get going. I know that everyone's going to be thinking of Dylan Cruz. He obviously has to get out of his slump if LSU wants to make it out of this region as well. But a guy like Dylan Cruz, he's faced this pitching before. He's not going to face any better pitching than he saw, in the SEC tournament when Arkansas threw their two best lefties as well. So my number one LSU player to watch is Gavin Dugas. This guy was tearing it up. He was batting over 300, and then he got injured in the Kentucky series. Actually got injured in the game that we went to, game number one,
Yeah,
when LSU
dislocated shoulder.
cruised in that one. Yeah, it was a shoulder injury. You thought at the game, whenever he was, going around like
Yeah, I thought
he
he was
was
out for the
holding his
season.
shoulder, I
Torn
thought he
labrum.
was done for the
Yeah.
season. But it was just, he only missed one or two games. But after that injury, he hasn't been the same. His power is just completely lost. He's just lost at the plate as well. He's missing on breaking balls. He's missing at fastballs as well. So for LSU, I think if they want to make a deep run, especially getting to Omaha, they need their veteran leader. If you can get some home runs, get this guy going, I'm going to go with Gavin Dugas as my player to watch.
Okay, yeah, I think Dugas. I believe he's one of the many LSU Tigers who has double digit home runs. But since
Yeah,
that shoulder injury, I think he's only had like two or three.
yeah, he's only
Which
had a couple of
it's
few.
his power is definitely lacking. I mean, they had him in the leadoff spot for a while, and now he's farther down in the lineup. Cruz in the leadoff, try to get him going, get out of this little slump he's in. I agree with Dugas as your pick. That's definitely someone to keep your eye on because, like you said, he's a veteran guy. He's been here before. He's going to be the guy that you need it when you're down one, two outs, bases loaded in the bottom of the ninth, something like that. Hopefully, it doesn't come to that, but that's a guy that you feel confident to rely on if he gets it going. My first guy is right next to him. We're going Jordan Thompson. I mean, beginning of SEC play, he was on an absolute tear. I think he hit a home run in like 6 straight games or something like that. I mean, he was
Yep.
hitting grand slams against Kentucky. I mean, he was just playing out of his mind, and his defense has been phenomenal this year. But lately, his bat, I feel like he's been swinging and missing, watching a lot of called strike threes, which is a little concerning. But, you get some rest. You face the best pitching you're going to face all year in the SEC, and now you're going up against Tulane's guy, Oregon State, Sam Houston State. It's just not the same quality of pitching that you see in the SEC. So I think the matchup bodes well for him. And I'd like to see him get his back going this week.
Yeah, I think another offensive player to watch for me is Kay Beloso. This is a guy, if you know his story as well, SEC Network, if you haven't watched it, had a phenomenal story on him. Definitely go watch that as well. But last year he got hurt doing their annual celebration. As you notice, they have scrapped that. They don't do that anymore. They
Nope.
just run out of the field and be like, we're not having any more injuries like that.
Yeah,
But Kay
you can't
Beloso,
risk that right now.
no, not at all. But Kay Beloso started this season on the bench, and then he got some opportunities coming off of the bench, and he just got base hit after base hit. I was like, all right, Jay Johnson, we found our DH right here. So Beloso has been on fire the start of the season. He got into a little bit of slump whenever the Tigers got into SEC play, but the Georgia series, he had a phenomenal series as well. He had a couple of doubles and a couple of home runs in that series. In the SEC tournament, he was
He
probably
was four
outside
for
of Tommy.
five in the A&M game.
Yeah, outside of Tommy Tanks in the SEC tournament, I think that Kay Beloso was the offensive player of the week. So I'm looking for Beloso to stay in that DH role. I think that you're going to see Trey Morgan back at first base, and then you're going to see probably an outfield of Joe Bear. If Pearson can stay hot as well, he had that Georgia series where he got hot as well. The SEC tournament got a couple of base hits, and then center field, we know who that's going to be. That's going to be
That's no
Dylan Cruz
question.
as
That's
well. So I think that the
exactly.
veteran experience is going to help. I think that Beloso is definitely going to be a firepower threat here as well. So look for Beloso to get a couple of home runs in the regional.
Yeah, if you're trying to decide between Jared Jones or Cade Beloso, I'm trusting Cade Beloso right
Yeah.
now. I mean, Jones is a phenomenal player, but he's hit a little bit of a slump. He's a
He
freshman,
can't hit a
and
lefty to save his life. So if
no, he
there's a
cannot.
righty, go ahead.
Yeah, but I'm definitely trusting the bat of Cade Beloso. My last guy to watch on the offensive slash defensive side is Braden Jobert. He has been hot lately. I mean, I feel like every game he's hitting one over the fence. He's hitting absolute moonshots. He's hitting missiles into center field. He's just seeing the ball really well now. And then if I think it's honestly because he's in the lineup every day. Towards the beginning of the season, he was like every other game, once a series. It's hard to get in a rhythm. Now that he's in the lineup as often as he is, I think you just ride his hot bat. And he's been usually it's home run or strikeout with him, but lately he's been driving the ball in the opposite field, putting it in center field. So I'd like to see him keep it rolling. Tyler,
Yeah.
who's your pitcher to watch this week?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a starting pitcher first, and it's going to be the guy that's probably going to get the ball today against the Green Wave, and that is going to be Thatcher Hurd. Like I've mentioned, at the start of the season, wasn't looking too good. Everybody was thinking in the off season, okay, we got a guy from UCLA. His stats are pretty good. He had an ERA north of 2, and then he got injured as well. So I think it just took some time for him to get healthy, and now you're seeing a healthy Thatcher Hurd. Like I said, in the SEC tournament, he had a good start as well in the last series against Georgia. He had good appearances coming out of the bullpen, especially in that Friday game. I know he gave up those 2 home runs, but after that, he had 5 innings of shutout baseball. So I expect this momentum to continue, especially in front of the home crowd. I think that a lot of these players who haven't really played and experienced postseason baseball at the box, even Dylan Cruz himself hasn't even experienced this, and he's been there for 3 years. So
The golden
give
child
me
finally
Thatcher
gets his
Hurd.
chance.
I think him, Thatcher Hurd getting them off to a good start, eating up some innings, save the bullpen for the winner of Sam Houston State and Oregon State. That's if you get past Tulane, but it definitely should be expected that they should.
Right. I'm going with the bullpen guy. I'm going Riley Cooper. He had a phenomenal outing against was it Arkansas that he came in for
Yeah.
Paul Skeens? Yeah. I mean, he came in and he threw like 5 shutout innings. I mean, that's what you needed. Uh, I mean, I say shutout, you had the whole catcher's interference thing, but I don't blame Riley Cooper for that. He got the out. And after that, he just really locked in. And Riley's just he's a great lefty, which is definitely something you could always use. And if he comes in there and throws consistent strikes and just gets guys out, that's exactly what you need from the bullpen. No more walks, no more pitching around guys. Just throw strikes, get them out, and if they can do that, I think our bullpen's going to be set.
Yeah, I think another guy to look at the bullpen as well. If you want to pair up the 2 freshmen, Gavin Guidry and Griffin Herring, those 2 guys had a phenomenal start in SEC play, and I feel like everybody in the bullpen hit a road bump in the middle series, especially it just hit after Auburn. They had that 1 inning where you couldn't throw a strike. So I think that Griffin Herring in the SEC tournament, he hardly even got any time as well. Gavin Guidry, I don't think we even saw him. If we did, it was a couple of innings.
He
So
came
I
in
think
for
that
one inning. Yeah.
yeah, so I think that Griffin Herring, Gavin Guidry, those are going to be your 1-2 punch coming out of the bullpen. It's been the most reliable guys throughout the season. Like your guy as well, Riley Cooper. I think that Cooper is going to get
Riley
a lot of
Cooper's
innings.
your stopper. You put him in when all of a
Yeah.
sudden they're starting to get some hits, maybe a run or two. Put him in to stop the damage, and lately he's been doing his job.
Yeah, absolutely. And all you need in the postseason is guys that can eat up some innings. And then, we don't really have a closer in this one. It's been Griffin Herring in the early part of the season. Whenever Chase Shores and Garrett Edwards got down with the injury, guys have had to step up as well. So, I mean, the bullpen, this is put up or shut up. And this is definitely going to be the regional that's going to test them, especially with 3 offenses that have some firepower. And I think that the ballpark, the weather, the environment is definitely going to play to that. So the bullpen's got to be on point, throw strikes, no walks, and you're going to be good.
I agree with you. Let's get to our predictions for the weekend. So, first game, I think is pretty unanimous who we think we're going to win. LSU versus Tulane. Tyler, who's your pick?
Yeah, I think that Tulane's a great story, but they're 19-40 for a reason. You have 40
Right.
losses on there. And I think that LSU, and in the midweek, they dominated that game, wasn't close. So I think that LSU takes this one. I'll go 12-4 this time. I think that
Okay.
LSU's offense, if they're gonna remember, I'm sure that they looked at the film, they looked at the numbers in the SEC tournament, 3 for 20 with runners in scoring position against Texas A&M, 3 for 8 against South Carolina as well. So you got to get runners in scoring position. You got to get the timely base hits. I think that LSU, this offense, know that they're capable of. So I think that they put it on them, and then you see Thatcher Hurd go 6 innings, and then you see either Riley Cooper or Griffin Herring, one of them coming out of the bullpen as well to seal the deal. So give me the Tigers in Game 1 over the Green Wave.
I like it. I like it. I'm going LSU as well. So, game 2, you got Oregon State and Sam Houston State. And we both earlier in the show predicted Sam Houston State to win that one. So, we got a potential LSU versus Sam Houston State. Well, I guess the
Yeah, it'd be
LSU
first
wins.
the elimination game with Tulane and Oregon State.
Right, and then that winner would have to face the loser of LSU and Sam Houston State. That's correct. right,
Yep,
on
that's
Saturday?
correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
so you'd have LSU and Sam Houston State playing. I think biased here. We're both picking LSU to win that game. So we'll go Oregon State, Sam Houston State in the elimination game to face LSU on Sunday. Who you got?
I think that this time around, I'm going to go with Oregon State. I think that Sam Houston State is going to get them in the first game, but I think that Oregon State, I know that they're going to be playing an extra game facing off against Tulane. I do ultimately think that Tulane will go 0-2. I mean,
0-2
it
at
would be
barbecue.
sneaky to pick Tulane beating Oregon State, especially with the issues that Oregon State pitching is, but Tulane also has pitching issues as
Right.
well. So I'm going to go with Oregon State meeting LSU in the regional final. I'm also picking LSU to beat Sam Houston State. I mean, come on, people. It's Paul
I'm
Skeens on
going
the
to.
mound.
We're
I
called
know
Bayou
that they
Bengal
have,
Bites for a reason. We're not picking
yeah,
against
I
them
know
in the
that they
regional.
have, one of the best offenses in the country. They're one of the hottest teams in the tournament, but you got Paul Skeens on the mound. He's going for Ben McDonald's record, and I think that he's going to break that, especially if the Tigers get all the way to Omaha.
Yeah, I'm going LSU clean sweep 3-0, and then we'll be talking next week on potentially Kentucky coming to visit. But the Kentucky's got some good teams in that Lexington regional, so we'll see if the dorm room problems where they have to stay messes with
They
them or
might have
not.
some back problems whenever they go. And, they have to get all stretched out. They're sleeping on some twin
Yeah,
size
twin
mattresses,
XLs.
and they probably have like a 30-inch TV, and you have to be like, okay, what team is that? What's the score? I can't
Yeah,
see
they
it.
won't even be able to watch film on that thing. So um, let's hit the last segment around town news. So, to no surprise, we had Paul Skeens, Dylan Cruz, and Tommy White named to the All American team, collegiate baseball. Well, a little surprised Trey Morgan wasn't on that list, or like maybe a second team. I mean, he played pretty great this year, especially out in left field. And then Paul Skeens won collegiate baseball's pitcher of the year. Tyler, all right, did you expect anything less?
No, I mean, this is probably the most dominant college baseball season we have seen from a pitcher. And people forget that this guy also hit at Air Force, and LSU was like, nope, put the bat away. You're pitching for us. You're pretty much like the only guy that we can trust. But now we see Ty Floyd and Thatcher get it going as well. So Paul Skeens, I mean, it's just crazy, this amount of talent that's come through the program. Not only is LSU going to produce the number one overall pick, but also the number two pick as well. So two major league teams are just going to get some diamond in the rough picks. We're probably going to see Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz in either 1 or 2 years be on an MLB team
I
and
agree.
facing off in the big league stadiums as well. So not a surprise to me at all.
Paul Skeens was quoted, "Awards don't matter, wins do." So I
I
think his
like that.
mindset's in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
So let's hope we have a show next week talking about the Tigers taking on the winner of the Lexington Regional. I feel pretty
And I
confident that
don't
we
think it's
will.
going to be Kentucky.
I agree with that one as well. So we appreciate everybody watching. If you're looking for something to get you hyped up, Tyler just put together a great hype video for the postseason baseball
Can't forget
LSU.
about you in the narration.
Yes, I dabbled a little bit in the narration. I think it turned out pretty well. So you can find
Yep.
that over on our YouTube channel as well. If you need longer sports content and you love listening to us, check out our podcast, the Sports Scramble Podcast. And
And
of course,
also put out a college baseball regionals. So I know that
it's
we're an
doing some
LSU show,
numbies over there. Big
but
time views from Tyler.
yep. And there's also, there's 64 teams in the field. I went region by region, had a couple of upsets. I had Texas A&M go on the road, beating
I like
Stanford.
that
But
upset. I like that one.
if you want to go out and watch that, maybe fill out a bracket of us. Use D1 Baseball Bracket Challenge. I might send the boys, and we might do a
For
little
sure. For
bracket
sure.
challenge this upcoming season. So definitely excited for the Baton Rouge Regional. Hopefully, I can catch some games this weekend.
Yeah, I'm hoping you're able to make it and cheer our Tigers onto a victory. And of course, all your other sports needs, head on over to Belly Up Sports, our wonderful host and network here. Check them out, and you can get basketball, football, baseball, hockey, NASCAR racing. We got NASCAR Neil over there. So we appreciate everybody watching, and go Tigers.